My name is Emerald Mike, and earlier this year I started a Minecraft server. And one of the people on that server is one of my best friends and creative confidants, Ian. He did not grow up with Minecraft or really YouTube, so I thought it'd be a good idea to sit him down and show him everything I know about Minecraft. And one of his biggest questions was, what is the story of Minecraft? And so instead of me trying to explain it to him, I showed him Matt Pat's lore video. So if you think that this is an interesting idea, make sure to check out the link in the description for the full 3 hours of information dump that I give him, or just enjoy this reaction video and remember to leave a like and subscribe, and enjoy.
Get ready to learn, guys.
Get ready to learn.
Horror. 4 years, 3 games, 35
You don't know what that is, do you?
all leading up to this moment.
That looks like
Hold on.
that looks like the box in my basement of Tower 1.
We have a FNAF. There's so many.
Haven't we done this intro before?
That was for FNAF. This is Minecraft. It's totally different.
Oh.
They're the same, like Ender Pearls. You have to use the fruit and they teleport randomly. I do not know that.
Chorus fruits at the end.
I do not know.
Do they sing a
Those
free
existed.
song?
Ooh.
I'm into some
Hello,
chorus.
Internet.
That's
Welcome to
Game Theory.
the show that's been building Minecraft's lore one block at a time. You know, for as much attention as FNAF gets on the
It's
channel,
nice to hear
we
his-
overlook what we've done for other game franchises.
his voice.
46 Mario theories, 31 Pokemon theories.
This is one of his
3
last
Hello Neighbor
theories ever.
Which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but let's be honest with ourselves, it's probably too many. But of them all, I would say that our Minecraft series is probably the most important. 35 episodes in total, and it's a pretty impressive collection. Can you punch a tree to death? What's a creeper? Is the overworld a sphere or a cube? But I think our biggest contribution to this franchise has to be figuring out that there was an actual story hidden inside this seemingly storyless game. For as long as Minecraft had been around, and for as many videos existed about the topic, we were able to crack into something that no one had noticed before. That the placement of the blocks, the treasures hidden inside of chests, the spawn locations, the item drops, all of them told a story. So, over the next 4 years, we chipped away at that story, bit by bit, mob by mob. The Enderman, the Drowned, the Wither, the Warden. And over the years, a story came into focus. A story of an ancient civilization's rise.
Are the things I was talking about.
No, you've seen Wardens?
There's a shit ton of them everywhere.
That?
Yes.
Where?
Everywhere underground. Everywhere
I
underground.
don't think you understand. Those are supposed to be very rare.
They're underground. That's the thing else, the bioluminescent thing?
That's what I thought you were talking about. That's what I thought you were talking about,
no.
but I knew that you couldn't have
I
talked about
run
that.
away.
Good. It'll kill you.
Yeah, those things are everywhere.
I thought they were rare. Maybe they're not.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Over the years, a story came into focus.
You mean
A story
ancient
of
cities?
ancient
Yeah.
Civilization's rise and their tragic fall. A tale of hubris and excess. A tale that serves as a warning to us, the player, out here in the real world. Except there is just one problem. 35 theories, it's a lot to keep track of. And just like we often see with FNAF, I started seeing a number of comments over in the subreddit begging me to set the record straight. To make one up-to-date definitive resource compiling all of our theories into one coherent location.
You don't
So
have to
I put
watch the
all
whole
these
thing.
theories onto
Who
the
is this
crafting
man?
table and enchanted them with a
Who is this man?
Who is this man?
Who is this? Who is this man? You're asking who Matthew Patrick is?
Who is this man?
This is Matt Pat.
Who's that?
This is the game theorist.
Who's that?
We don't have it. We don't have enough time in the day.
All right.
Maybe one of the greatest contributions to YouTube of all time. This man.
I have seen
God.
I have seen the image of him with the eyes, anthropomorphic, just like a reactive eyes.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to keep shooting pictures of himself. I've seen that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I've seen that all over the place.
Yeah.
I've seen that in the memes,
Yeah.
but I've never seen his video.
Because he's Matthew Patrick.
Oh,
Matt Pat.
don't know.
The game theorist.
Hello, Matt Pat.
And welcome to Game. This is so many people our age's childhood. Is this man right here. And about 1.5 years ago, he stepped away. And people genuinely and earnestly shed tears. because he decided that he wanted to do some other stuff and he needed to walk away. And everyone was like,
there's creators do things like that. I feel like by the time they are making a video that is titled something like "We Have to Talk," by the time they're making that video, they have already decided that they need a break. And
oh yeah,
that was probably his like. He probably didn't want to do that, but he was probably like, I have to do what's best for my
for his
health.
kid, his family. We'll watch that in our own time. His final video, his address, he picks up the coat. It's tough.
All right, I believe you.
Efficiency 5 to turn those 35 theories, all these theories onto the crafting table and enchanted them with Efficiency 5 to turn those 35 theories into this one easy to digest 25, 30 minute-ish video. Not exactly sure where it's going to land.
20.
That I've seen that
Yeah.
memed
That
to
potion of
death.
swiftness if we want to get through all
He's
of
used that
this.
since 20.
Okay, you ready?
There we go.
Our story begins with Minecraft Legends, a game that only came out in April of last year, but gave us a lot of lore to chew on. The overworld's in danger. The piglins have come from the Nether and are now invading the overworld. When the game puts the invasion down to greed, I have a suspicion that it's due to something else. Sure, the piglins are greedy for gold, we see that in vanilla Minecraft, and there is plenty of gold in Minecraft Legends, but the Nether isn't exactly low on that stuff. They don't use things like diamonds or iron or tools or armor, they just hoard all that in chests. They don't understand their real value. Instead, I believe they invaded the overworld because the Nether was in trouble. You see, the Nether used to be a cool and icy place. That's the only way for the basalt deltas to have formed. Basalt requires blue ice, the coldest ice imaginable to form, and for lava to flow next to it above a layer of soul soil, which means that ice must have been naturally forming in the Nether at one.
Soil.
Soul soil. It's where netherite grows. You know, to make potions. You can make potions.
All right. What are the
However,
potions?
as we see
Are
in
the
Legends-
are the potions enchanting also?
No, you need a brewing stand and you need a bottle of water.
What's the effect of the potions?
Hundreds. You can get fire resistance, slow falling.
Permanent?
No timer.
There's a lot of that timer shit in this game.
Mhm.
Not into that.
No.
No, I like things that once I get them, I have them.
Well, now you have them because you can't die. Go back. So
Which means that ice must have been naturally forming in the Nether at one point. However, as we see in Legends, the piglins
The amount of like
industrialized. They have golden
earth
swords and
geology that they mix into like the gameplay.
Mhm.
It's cool.
yeah, that's his whole. That's Matt Patton's whole. You.
But like when they designed the game, I mean,
Oh no! Yeah.
they did that on purpose.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
It is very cool.
armor. Items that require gold ingots that can't be found naturally. They have to be smelted from nether gold ore or crafted using gold nuggets. This process in turn created greenhouse gases, causing the intense heating of the atmosphere down in the nether. And
Alright.
because the nether is also 2.5 times smaller than the overworld, less heat is needed to make all that ice melt
That's
and
funny.
the water to ultimately run dry. This leaves the piglins looking for a new world that isn't a fiery wasteland to call their own, and so they look out to the overworld. This is where our first builder comes in. They're busy mining away in a normal Minecraft world, but are interrupted by three godlike beings called hosts, the caretakers of the overworld. They ask this mysterious builder to help save the overworld from the piglin threat, giving you the tools necessary to do the job.
Within this cave,
What is the
burn
Legends?
The flames of creation. The
What's the
Minecraft
game?
Legends?
Yeah. Is it a different, totally different game?
Mhm.
Oh, so they are making new games.
Yeah, but not what we play. Minecraft
Who
Legends is
plays
a top-down. I don't know.
Like,
It's a top-down shooter.
oh.
Do you know?
So it's not at all like Minecraft.
Correct.
What?
hmm
That's weird. That's very weird.
It's a little bizarre
That's almost like. Then why is he including it in this video?
because it is a canon game.
Canon, Microsoft canon Minecraft game. The
Hello, Google. Welcome
bar
to the
thing?
stream. Yeah, that's like someone with a Google. They had Google. Google.
Welcome, Google.
Anyway,
Well,
that
so
distracted
Legends-
me.
So Legends is not a Minecraft game.
It is a Minecraft game.
It's a
It is
Microsoft
not mine.
Minecraft game.
Mhm.
It's not a.
It's not Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But it's canon
Okay.
because it's made by the same people with elements of story.
All right.
The flames will call upon.
Do the job.
Within this case, burn the flames of creation. The flames will call upon friends to fight by your side.
This is the banner of courage. Raise it high, and this world will rise to your aid.
With the right
That character has that voice?
The LAs will
Yeah, I
gather
think
your
it's a bit.
resources,
Interesting.
keep them safe for you, and build whatever you need.
Thanks to the Allay and the hosts, this mysterious builder stops the piglin invasion and peace is restored to the overworld. All that remains of the conflict are broken nether portals scattered throughout the overworld, but it's still a bittersweet ending. The mobs that helped win the battle now have a taste for fighting.
What's happening? How did they learn to fight?
By watching our hero.
This is what turns them into the violent mobs that we know in vanilla Minecraft. Even the villagers weren't immune to this effect. After being given the tools to fight, a group of them would continue to have anger within them once the war is over.
Illagers.
They were dubbed the Illagers, and their
Illagers.
existence proved that what was meant to be a time of
Ooh,
peace
they're
was
great.
actually cursed by the knowledge of violence and war.
Very Adam and Eve.
Thanks to the
Illagers.
builder and their companions bringing peace, the hosts decide it's time to leave,
There are endless worlds out there waiting to be explored.
letting the builders be in charge of the world. So
They
they begin
said
to do what they did when
peace.
the hosts first called them. They mine and they craft. They start a new civilization. They become the first of the ancient builders. And we see this on some of the pottery sherds from the Trails and Tales update. Pottery sherds in the real world tell us the story of past civilizations. And so sherds like Howl and Sheaf depict the earliest parts of the ancient builder society, where wolves were some of the first animals domesticated and wheat was one of the earliest and easiest crops to grow. However, this rapid growth is the beginning of the ancient builders' biggest problem: over-harvesting and depleting the world of its natural resources. They needed food, and so they hunted the creatures from Minecraft legends like the Regal Tiger and Big Beak into extinction, completely destroying their habitats so they could build
those
this new
still-
society.
Those are not in the game anymore.
Anymore. They were at one point.
They were only in Legends.
They ever were only in Legends?
Correct.
So they never were in the original Minecraft.
Correct.
The same
But they
goes for
used Legends
resources
to
like
tell a
diamond
story.
Aha.
extinction, completely destroying their habitats so they could build this new society. The same goes for resources like diamond, copper, and coal. At first, these were just lying around on the surface of the overworld, but by modern day, we're digging deep into the earth before finding just one block of diamond ore. This led to valuable resources becoming scarce and splitting the ancient builders into tribes based on their location and the natural resources around them. We see this in the sherds, which are scattered across different
Sherds.
biomes.
I don't know why he says it like that.
and technologies. They become hoarders of their own specific resource, and thus trade begins between the tribes. Even
Trade.
the villagers, who used to just simply give the builders their resources, they also got in on the trading action and are still doing it to this very day.
Which is why you can trade with the villagers for their specific job that they get based on the item you put them next to.
Okay.
As time goes on, the ancient builders continue in their worship of the hosts, the godlike beings that brought them there, building structures like the desert and jungle temples, all with unique designs to demonstrate their different resources and culture, much like we see out in the real world.
So those are built by the villagers or the
The ancient builders.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have a question about this block.
Yeah.
And this block.
Go
If
on.
I see a mossy cobblestone block, or if I see
You should go in.
No. If I see a mossy cobblestone block, and I see a
Sandstone.
sandstone block,
Mhm.
does that mean if I dig out all the other blocks that are not those blocks, I will find?
Potentially. Not
Not
always.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I'll
A
just be
lot
in the
of the
jungle and I'll
times-
see a mossy cobblestone block,
You should investigate that.
but it's like by itself. It's like 3 blocks in like a cluster.
Then maybe you're close to one. Because there's definitely signs in the overworld that you're getting close to something like that. Sandstone, on the other hand, if you like, after a certain point, it's no longer sand; it turns into sandstone. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're close to one.
Okay.
A lot of the sand structures are above ground, so you'll see them.
Mhm.
The temples are usually hidden
Okay.
in the jungle.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all with unique designs to demonstrate their different resources and culture, much
Both
like
are
we see
cool.
out in the real world. But the Ocean Tribe decided to take it a step further. This tribe of fishermen that we learn about from the Angler Sherd built the massive ocean monuments.
Those are the
styled like
ones
a
I'm
ziggurat.
always
The structure
drowning in.
Those are scary. Because those pufferfish,
The
that
drowned
we learn
people
about from
also
the
are in
Angler
there.
Sherd built the
Yes.
massive ocean
there's drowned, and these guys will make you not be able to mine. So if you get stuck, you won't be able to mine yourself out because these little fucking fish are a pain in the ass.
Oh.
Ah.
Is there a way to, like, Moses-style Red Sea drain the water from, like, the temple?
No, not really.
No? Okay.
There is, but it is a lot of work.
You gotta like build a wall.
You need to enclose it, and then you need a lot of sponges.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's not worth it. Just get like water breathing armor
Didn't know that was a thing.
through enchanting.
I gotta start enchanting.
Monuments, styled like a ziggurat, a structure that was used to connect the people to their gods. This was the ancient builders trying to reconnect with the hosts, hoping that they would maybe return and save them from this world that they created. They even built a replica of the Well of Fate atop the structure, made it out of the same prismarine, and placed an offering of gold at its core, the spoils of their victory against the piglins, all in the hope that it would bring the hosts back. What they don't realize, though, is that the real monster isn't other tribes, it's themselves. The fishermen continued to destroy the natural environment for resources, crafting and smelting tools and ore, causing pollution and eventually leading to massive flooding. They try desperately to protect their monuments, these temples that the hosts may one day return to, and so they fill these monuments with sponges, trying to hold back the rising water, but it's too much for them to handle. The water keeps rising, and they can't hold it back from filling the monuments. But they don't give up. Pottery sherds found in cold underwater ruins like Blade, Explorer, and Plenty reveal that this tribe was more than just fishermen, they were pirates. They would go from village to village trying to gather resources that they had squandered, which led to other tribes like the Desert Tribe fighting back. Mine and prize sherds found in the desert temples depict the tribe creating mine shafts, now needing to go deep underground to find the precious materials that were once so easy to find. So with pirates on the loose, looting and pillaging, they needed to find a way to protect their resources, and they found that protection with a creature that they once called an ally. We see their face chiseled into the sandstone walls of their temples, a creature with the ultimate defense system, the Creeper. The Desert Tribe booby-trapped their temples with TNT, similar to how real
gotta be careful when you go
use
in there.
traps to scare away thieves, though not quite as explosive. If anyone tried to take their valued possessions, the TNT would be their last fail-safe. No one was gonna mess with this tribe and get away with it. But the
Yeah, if you go into sand temples and you see a pressure plate,
I don't know what a pressure plate looks like.
that little gray thing.
possessions, the TNT
That?
Yeah.
In the center?
Yeah, if you step on that,
Oh yeah, like Indiana Jones.
would be their last
But
fail-safe.
explosion.
No one was gonna mess with this tribe.
Didn't
and
you
get
just mine
away
the
with it. But
dynamite?
Pirates were really only after one thing. Within the shipwrecks you find across the overworld, there are chests containing treasure maps. These maps can lead you to buried chests containing the Heart of the Sea. The Heart of the Sea, when crafted with 8 Nautilus shells, can create a conduit, an item capable of
I
anyone
can
in
make
the
one of
area
those.
water.
no way, really? That's so many shells.
I have not enough shells.
Haste. This was the ocean tribe's final hope of surviving the
I need
constantly
9?
rising water. And
Don't
while
have
the
9.
pirates looked for this treasure, the fishermen that stayed back home created the Guardians, machine bodyguards for their sacred temples as a last resort of protection.
Those
Given the
fuckers
state
are
that
so
we find the ocean
annoying, dude.
monuments in vanilla Minecraft, we know that they weren't successful. The pirates didn't find the treasure in time, and so the fishermen left behind in the monuments become trapped in water and transformed into the drowned, still carrying Nautilus shells as well as tridents,
Yeah.
ancient tools
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
fishing. They
They have
continue to
those.
stay by their monuments, never having their call for help answered by the hosts. All they have left are the Guardians, who still recognize their creators and don't attack. Sadly, the fishermen weren't the only tribe to be facing hardship. After
Oh,
seeing
no.
the devastation that the ocean tribe had caused to themselves in spite of their constant prayers, the desert tribe gave up on the hosts ever returning and took matters into their own hands. The desert temples depict the Ankh, a symbol of life. This is what the desert tribe dedicated their time and effort towards. Rather than waiting for the hosts to return, they wanted a way to preserve their lives and resurrect those who had already died. But how could they do that? Well, the builders were reminded of the spawners
could they,
given them
Matt?
by the hosts.
Tell me.
These spawners could create mobs from nothing but stone and wood, but they required an energy source to fuel the flames of creation, and that fuel was lapis lazuli, and the only way they knew how to get it was from war, killing piglins. That's when the desert tribe realized something that ancient cultures in our own world used to believe, that lapis contains the souls of gods and monsters. This is what the ancient builders needed, and to get it, they needed to go to the home of the piglins to collect more of this magical stone. They needed to go to the Nether.
Which is why you need lapis to enchant.
Wow.
Once the builders arrive in HE double hockey sticks, they set up a camp, knowing that this is going to be a long journey. There, they build the Nether fortresses to store the resources that they brought with them, like saddles, horse armor, diamonds, and iron. What was already a wasteland gets harvested by the
Horse
builders.
armor?
They destroy the piglin
Oh.
bastion.
You can tame horses and put a saddle on
There's
them
a
and
bunch
ride
of
them.
wild horses at the southernmost point of our ocean. Like a
Sick.
shit ton. Like a lot.
We need to find apples.
I have a shit ton of those too.
You can tame the horses.
From the chests.
You can tame the horses with the apples, put a saddle on them, you can ride them.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's kind of sick. And then you find that armor, you put the armor on them, Battlers.
I haven't really done any crafting at all. I have mostly just been doing resource collection.
And exploration. That's some of the best parts, is exploration.
I just didn't know what most of the crafting was.
That's fair. It takes a minute. Unless you know what you're looking for.
Didn't.
It takes a minute.
And iron. What was already a wasteland gets harvested by the builders. They destroy the piglin bastions, they kill the piglins within to use their souls in the lapis to create life of their own. But the plan doesn't quite work. The dead piglin souls don't turn into lapis as they did before.
What do they turn into?
It's because the souls work differently in the Nether. Rather than forming into magical stones, they transfer into the ground, into the sand. As their comrades fall, their souls are sucked from their bodies into the ground to create soul sand. It's then that a new mob's created, the Wither skeleton. Suddenly, the ancient builders are left fighting against the bodies of their own fallen warriors, without souls but still clinging on to their purpose, defending what they had once built themselves. The ancient builders had not only sucked the land dry of its natural resources, but they also accidentally created mobs that made the already deadly landscape even more dangerous. They do eventually return to the overworld, and they come bearing riches, blaze rods, netherwort, ghast tears,
Yes.
all
Yeah.
and so the builders begin to brew potions, depicting the achievement in the brewer sherds. The ancient builders were now able to surpass their physical abilities. They could be faster, they could resist lava, they could even regenerate themselves. The only thing they hadn't conquered yet was death itself. And so, equipped with soul sand and a bunch of
did they
wither
conquer
skulls, they
death?
press on with their experiments.
With the heads.
They combine the life-giving soul sand with the wither skeleton heads of their fallen comrades, carving its face into the red sandstone walls and depicting their worship to it on sherds. They could take care of themselves, and now armed with the knowledge to create life itself, they thought that they had finally done what the gods could not all those years ago: protect the overworld. As they placed the final head, there was a flash of light and a roar. The Wither was born. But despite their success, their hubris would ultimately be their downfall.
Like, that's
the
a bad
Wither was uncontrollable. It destroyed the cities
He's
that they
uncontrollable,
created,
man.
leaving nothing in its wake. Not even the other tribes were safe. The destruction was like nothing ancient builders had ever seen before. And so they did the
It's a
only
very,
thing
very
that they
strong
could do.
mob.
They ran. They ran deep underground, where the Wither's blasts would meet more resistance from the stone and deep slate. But their persistence never wavered. They would have to find a way to fix this. They would be able to return to the overworld. They had to make this right, no matter the cost. Once again, the ancient builders were forced to start
where
over,
I stay,
rebuilding
baby.
a civilization that we now know
Next time we get on, you have to take me here.
Okay.
Okay.
as the ancient city, a wide underground space that contains fragments of the builders' past.
Most of the time it's on
adventures.
accident, though. Most of the time I am digging or I'm underground and I'm like, ooh,
Oh,
a little bioluminescent. And then I hear the,
that is a warden.
and I run.
You run. He's strong. He knocks you in the air and then he juggles you. He's like,
Oh.
mm-hmm.
Oh no.
He's hard to
The
fight.
ancient builders were forced to start over, rebuilding a civilization that we now know as the ancient city, a wide underground space that contains fragments of the builders' past adventures. Items like soul lanterns and soul torches are used to light the city, powered by the souls from their time in the Nether. Enchanted items
I have
and
one of
potions
those torches,
regeneration
or I
from
had
their
one of those
successful
torches.
experiments of brewing can be found in the chests. Despite the circumstances, the builders found
That's
happiness.
sick.
They would dance in the streets with
place
music
is
from
hard
Disc
to
5
find.
playing in the background. At least they would, until fate once again came banging on their door. A builder would go off mining some materials one day when they would hear something
You.
familiar, something sensible to fear through their bodies. The Wither had found them. He ran home to warn the others. The city sounds the sirens and soldiers begin to march. The ancient builders are preparing for war once again. The explosions grow louder and louder. The Wither is slowly blasting its way through their intricate cave system. Fortunately, they'd planned an escape route. In the center of the ancient city is a large circular structure. The smaller versions of these found within the game files call these small portal statues. And if these are in fact small portals, then the large one in the city center must be a real portal. A big one.
Haven't seen any of
Underneath
those.
the portal, redstone circuits
No.
are found. These were experiments using different kinds of power output to try and ignite the portal, but up to this
A lot of the time I'm just dying. I'm just dying, and up until very recently, I would go out exploring, and I would find something, and I would pick it up, and then I would die, usually by falling from a high place, and then I would spend the rest of the time on the S&P server just trying to get back to my original death location, just so I could hopefully get some of the things that were maybe still floating there. And that got old quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we turned on keep inventory.
Yeah.
And now
But
people
I
can just have fun.
I gotta start enchanting. I gotta get some boots.
That if you
Gotta
get
get some
boots of
no-fall
feather,
boots.
yeah, feather falling, that'd be good.
Boots of a feather.
Using different kinds of power output to try and
Yeah.
ignite the portal.
I don't know
At
what
this
the gold
point,
thing
it
is.
worked. So instead, they decided to turn to the most powerful source of energy they knew of, souls.
Redstone.
Directly
Oh.
underneath the portal are blocks of soul sand that are lit. As the wither gets closer and closer, breaking through the final wall into the city, the portal finally ignites. But instead of celebration, there's nothing but stunned silence. Something is coming out of the portal. A horrifying creature with no eyes that lives off the power of souls, storing them in its chest cavity, the Warden. Now they're just left with the Godzilla vs. King Kong situation. Two powerful beings duking it out. And then the builders hear it. A cry that they never thought they'd hear. The death cry of the Wither. Builders are stunned. The Wither, this thing that caused them to lose everything, is now gone, and their music
He defeated him.
happened to record the entire event. This is a cause for celebration. The builders begin to start the party, only for the Warden to turn its attention to them. It's triggered by sound, and so it starts to attack anything that makes a noise. With each death, a new
that
block
makes sense.
forms. The Skulk, a sentient block that uses the power of souls from fallen mobs to spread across the other blocks. Once again, the builders' lives are in danger, but after all they've been through, they just don't have the energy to run anymore. Instead, they try to live in harmony with the Warden. They do what they can to deaden the noises by placing carpets or wool blocks all over the city, but in the end, it's no good. Each opening of a chest would send the Warden into a rampage. This is no way to live, and so the ancient builders try to leave their home one final time. They continue deeper into the caves, somewhere that not even the Warden could find them, though they needed something strong enough to hold it back if it ever tried to invade, and so the builders created strongholds, a place fortified so as to protect it against attack. The ancient builders made winding pathways and hidden doors so they could escape the Warden should it ever break in, and the builders made one final attempt at escape. One last portal that this time would have to work, the end portal. The builders bid farewell to the overworld and jump in, not knowing what might be waiting for them on the other side, and also unsure if they'd ever be able to return.
Now we get Enderman explanation.
Enter this vast void of open space and begin to set up their new lives, building fortresses to house their resources, loot chests containing enchanted armor and weapons, diamonds and diamond-plated armor, more advanced tools since the days of the Nether, ready to conquer whatever fearsome foes might come their way. Enter the Ender Dragons. And that's dragons, plural. Thanks to the amount of Ender Dragon heads mounted on end ships, we can tell that this used to be a plentiful species. The ancient builders came to the end and saw these majestic beasts, how they had complete control over the skies, and they wanted that power for themselves. They wanted to conquer the sky, which until now had been impossible. So they hunted down the dragons and used their wings to create Elytra, another resource found in the end ships. These were the builders' prized possessions, so they continued
Those are the
to hunt
things
these
they used to
creatures
fly.
near extinction, much like they had done with other species in the past. It would seem that history continues to repeat. But the builders eventually realize that they're making a mistake. They see how they're bringing an entire species to extinction, and they want to right their wrongs. They use their technology and knowledge from past adventures, using the regenerative powers of the gas tier to create end crystals atop tall obsidian pillars. This will continually regenerate the last Ender Dragon, ensuring
There's some
that
of
it never
those in some
dies.
chests
The ancient
above-
builders can now rest
above
easy
ground.
knowing that they had saved a species, sort of. Without a mate, would always have a population of one. And it seems like their sins eventually caught up to them. Food was yet again becoming scarce, but not all hope was lost. Defeating an Ender Dragon creates a portal back to the overworld. A few brave souls go through, but most others stay in the end. Although they were running out of supplies, there was one crop that was endlessly plentiful, chorus fruit, but it had some strange side
What Oliver was
effects.
saying.
This constant diet of a fruit with teleportation properties causes the ancient builders to slowly evolve into the Endermen, now able to teleport across time and space itself. But this comes at a cost. With this transformation, they slowly forget how to build, though they never truly forget how to pick up the blocks. And this is where the ancient builders spend the rest of their days, a race teleporting through time and space, picking up blocks, the remnants of a once great civilization brought down by their own pride.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the
But what
explorers
happened to
who
the
returned to the
Illagers?
overworld reconnected with their old allies, the Illagers. It's here that they tell them stories of their adventures, tales of life-giving lapis, end portals, fierce beasts that they overcame. The Illagers revel at the ancient builders' resources, the Elytra made from Ender Dragon wings, their portal technology. Even though they don't quite understand it all, they worship the ways of the ancient builders, who would tell them stories and protect them from harm. And because they wanted to follow in their footsteps, they too began to experiment. The overworld was still a dangerous place. They needed ways to protect protect themselves. And so they created the Ravagers, terrifying beasts with even more terrifying origins. The Ravager was created from their fellow villagers. Their unibrow, their green eyes, the noses, even their voices remain after the transformation. That wasn't the only thing that they did to these innocent captured villagers either. In the woodland mansions, large woolen heads of Illagers are found, and in the center of the
you gotta
head
get
is
to a
block of
high-level
lapis
pillager.
lazuli. The Illagers knew that the ancient builders saw lapis as a magical resource, so they took it and injected it directly into the brains of villagers in the hopes of gaining its incredible power. And you know what? It worked. The Vindicators were born, with incredible speed, power, and eyes that changed from emerald green to lapis blue. This was the last straw for the villagers. According to the mob bestiary, these are the unspeakable acts that get the Illagers cast out from regular society. From here, they would form their own civilization, wandering
so you
into
get
the dark
Illager
forests, over the
mansions.
woodland
There's one of those,
continuing
not
their pursuits
very far
to
away.
bring back
They're
ancient
dangerous.
builders, whatever the cost.
They'll kill
Yeah.
you.
Become what's known
A lot
as
of
a
creepers in
cargo
there.
cult, where a group of isolated indigenous people begin to imitate the practices and technology from more advanced societies, despite not understanding how the technology works. The Illagers would make structures like beds, maps, even end portals, but none of them work because they're only made out of wool. The Illagers don't understand the true nature of these items. But while those don't work, they are able to figure out the secret to new life, and they harness that power in the form of totems of undying. They use this power to create the Vex, the Phantoms, and they even try to create a new human, a new race of ancient builder. They try to create Steve. Throughout the woodland mansions, there are stacks on stacks of blue, cyan, and light blue wool. These are the same colors that Steve and his ancient builder ancestors wore. This was going to be their final experiment, using these woolen blocks and their powers over life and death to become gods, to create their own race of ancient builders. Little did they know that the ancient builders did this exact same thing all those years ago. And sadly, history would repeat itself. After the dust settles, what stands in place of the wool isn't a new race of builders, but instead zombies. The overworld now has yet another
That's why they have the
dangerous
same
mob.
outfit.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And now
thus
all of
ends the
that
story of the ancient builders and
leads
their
to
influence
us.
on the overworld, a land that now lies in ruin, a shell of its former self. And yet, despite everything, hope isn't lost. With the ancient builders gone, the overworld has had a chance to heal. There's no one left to overharvest resources, and so nature begins to return, with the structures built by this ancient race descending into the earth, reclaimed by nature,
What are those?
biomes becoming more
What are those?
structures
And
built
why
by
can't
this
I mine
ancient
them?
race
the
descending
trading
into the
posts.
No, these blocks.
earth,
Oh, I don't know.
There's a bunch of those that are like crazy combinations of colors.
Yeah.
Like, not just those, like a bunch of different,
Just like purples and greens and blues, and
like artistic looking things.
they're cool.
They are.
I only, this structure I know is called a trading outpost. I don't know what this block is called.
I can't mine it.
Yeah.
I try to mine it and it just disappears.
Yeah, you need iron.
Even if it's like wool.
It's not wool.
Okay.
It's clay.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
type of clay.
Okay.
I don't know what type of clay it is, but I know like this is brick and this is all clay.
Even the purple.
Mhm.
Oh.
You could put dye into the clay.
Oh.
You make dye from the flowers that you harvest. Yeah.
Okay.
reclaimed, and so nature begins to return, with the structures built by this ancient race descending into the earth, reclaimed by nature. Biomes become
You can do
more
that with
diverse.
wool as
That
well.
is, until you show up. The builders' desire for overharvesting resources and creating life continue through their descendants. You. Now we spend our time deforesting so we can have a nicer new house, gutting the ground of whatever resources are left and killing whatever we see, whether it's hostile or not. It's a story of destruction and selfish gain, of greed and ignorance and hubris repeating itself over and over again. And what's more, this wasn't just a poetic story told to make the game more interesting. The story is a warning to us, the players. Think back to the ending credits of Minecraft. Quote, sometimes I wish to tell them this world you take for truth is merely, and I wish to tell them that they see so little of reality in their long dream. These two beings, these gods, these hosts, they're talking about us. The dream is Minecraft, and while we play it, we fail to see the moral that's being told by these two gods, the truth about reality and how this game reflects our own history. In the 8th century, for instance, Vikings used a lot of timber for shipbuilding, construction, and fuel, which led to them deforesting most of Scandinavia. As they started to run out of resources and land, they began to invade the coastal areas of Europe like England, France, and Ireland, only to do the exact same thing again, cutting down the trees until those places began to lose their forest areas too. Sound like the fishermen and pirates from Minecraft? Europe's colonization of the Americas was for similar reasons, to access and exploit the abundant natural resources there. Even today, we're seeing the same thing with deforestation, burning fossil fuels, fighting one another for more power and control, just like we see with the piglins and the builders and the Illagers and the Nether, the End, and the Overworld. It's a cycle of repeated abuse and neglect.
Wow.
Quote again from the ending. But it would be so easy to tell them. I will tell the player a story, but not the truth. No, a story that contains the truth safely in a cage of words, not the naked truth that can burn over any distance. We are playing the story, and the naked truth that they're talking about is that our world will die if we let it constantly
Legends,
be
by the
ravaged
way.
of its natural resources.
That
So maybe
game
the next
is
time you
Legends.
log on to Minecraft, you'll
It
see
looks
it a
very
little
different.
differently. Maybe instead of a flat, blocky world, you'll see a reflection of your own. And remember, it can be beautiful so long as we, just like Steve, learn from the mistakes of the past. It's been a long trope of game theory to prove to you that the hero of the game is actually the villain. In the game of Minecraft and in the real world, that distinction ultimately falls on us to decide. But hey,
Hey,
that's
just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Wow.
That's the story
Good
of
story.
Minecraft.
Good story.
And that is Matthew Patrick.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt Pat. That was good.
Yeah.
That was very concise.
Yes. And that,
I wonder how much of that is inferred from, like you said, there's books and all
there's
kinds
like a bestiary.
That's
There's,
insane. That's nuts.
I mean, they'll make branch out to every and all media to be able to make money. But also, if you're able to seed out little tidbits of story and lore and make it interesting.
I remember when I was in middle school, we would go to the Scholastic Book Fair,
Mm-hmm.
which was on property
Yeah.
in like the gym or the library or wherever they were having it that year. And I remember one of the most popular and well sold things being that Minecraft
Was it green, brown, or
Hand-
red?
green
So the original
handbook.
the
Yeah.
Minecraft handbook.
I
own
remember
that.
people buying it and me being like, I don't know what that is.
I'm pretty sure that book is on that shelf somewhere. That's Minecraft.
Hmm.
In 3 hours.
I've learned so much.
Do you feel like you have a better grasp?
I do. I feel
Hell yeah.
less disillusioned by not knowing anything.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I live stream Monday through Thursday on Twitch and this YouTube channel. So I hope to see you in one of those. And I'll see you in the next one.